Howdy do, Buck. We are live. We are live once again. Hey, I don't know why every time I say live, I go into AM radio voice, but I do for some reason. Hey, I know, but I'm being joined by Red Rooster, who happens to be in the London area at the moment. Before I go to Red, I'll just give you a quick peek of what I'm drinking. It looks great in that glass, doesn't it? It's the Quinnan Falls Special Lager beer from Bell's. I just found it today, and I hadn't had it before. So, Red, tell us what you're drinking and what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Hello, Tom. Yeah, I'm trying to do my best British accent, but I'm over here in London, and I've got with me tonight Guinness, but it's a little special because you cannot get it in the United States at the moment. It is a Nigerian Guinness, which is a Guinness that was actually brewed in Nigeria, but we'll talk about that a little later. So how you doing, Tom?
I'm good, but what's the difference between the Nigerian foreign export and the foreign export I get here?
Well, it's very funny because the when you go into stores here, you have to look on the label because it'll say foreign extra stout, and you'll see Nigerian on the label, which means it comes from Nigeria, and then you'll just see foreign extra stout on the label, which means it comes from Guinness and Ireland, and they're both 7.5% alcohol by volume. But the Nigerian Guinness is a little different, and the little difference is the fact that the Guinness from Nigeria is actually brewed with millet, which is
millet. Okay.
So I could look up the whole process to you and get that all sorted out like a little later, but I'm sure people that are very interested might find out for themselves. But the difference is, I think what happens is they send extract over to Nigeria from Ireland. They brew the beer, they add the local millet, and it's a little different. And this is to cater to the population from Nigeria and all that that's here in Britain. So it's a little different from the foreign extra stout that you would get from Ireland.
Now the millet, how does that affect the body? Does it make it thinner?
No, actually, what it does is it adds sweetness to the beer.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Right.
If I might explain, I've had both the Guinnesses. I keep hearing an echo.
I'm not hearing it on my end, Red.
All right, so I hear myself talking. So let me continue. The Irish version is a lot drier. The Nigerian version with the millet adds some sweetness, and some sweetness comes in on the body and in on the palate, but it really doesn't affect the flavor. I'm sorry, flavor, but the alcohol content. All they're both 7.5. So the Nigerian Guinness has that little touch of sweetness, that little edge of sweetness that adds something to the beer that the foreign extra stout from the Irish brewed version doesn't. Some people like that, some people don't.
I'd like to try that. That sounds very interesting. I have seen several American craft beers now starting to introduce millet in their beers, though.
Well, that's very cool. I like that. And millet as an adjunct is actually a grain, so it's another grain. So, yes, it's an adjunct, but it's a very good adjunct. And in this case, with the Nigerian brewed Guinness, it adds that little touch of sweetness that kind of takes this beer over the edge. It's very pleasing. I like it very much. But to be honest with you, I like the foreign extra stout brewed in Dublin much better. And I like the one that was commissioned for John Martin for the Belgian beer market. It's called Special Export Stout.
Mm-hmm.
and that one I actually like as the best version of bottled Guinness, and that's an 8% alcohol by volume, and that one's just outstanding. But to make a long story short, this one with the millet,
Oh, excuse me.
the Nigerian Guinness, it's a beautiful beer.
I'm drinking this one I had for the first time today. I saw it in my liquor store and picked it up. It's called Quinnanan. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Quinnanan Falls Special Lager from Bales. I hadn't had it before. It's listed on their website as 6.5%, but it's listed as 6.3 on the can. It actually drinks like it's about 4.5. It's really tasty. It's dry hop with Simcoe hops, giving it a nice piney finish.
Excellent.
Been doing a little cooking. I just finished a beer can chicken. So I just pulled it out of the
Oh,
oven just before we started. I was going to do it outside, but then it started raining on us. So I said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So anyway, I did that beer can chicken in the oven, and I just pulled it out just before we started talking.
well, I like Bell's very much. I mean, Bell's has become very popular, and Bell's. I don't know what your experience with Bell's is, Tom, but um, Bell's was kind of hard to get back in the early '90s, and I was fortunate that my brother was living in Ohio, Michigan area at the time, and I used to go out there very often, and I would go to Kalamazoo actually, and go to the Bell's Brewery when they were still in Kalamazoo, and it was
Mhm.
kind of a big deal at the time back then in the early '90s. But I really, really love Bell's, and what do you think about Bell's beers? I mean, now that you're getting them in Monopoly,
Well, I
you
mean,
like them?
they were one of the first that we started getting out here. I think we started getting them in my neck of the woods, probably, I'm going to say mid to late 90s, not remembering an exact date. Bell's Two Hearted was one of the early IPAs that I had, craft IPAs that weren't from a local brew pub that I'd found. I like them. I think some certain things are overpriced, so I tend to avoid. But not everything is. I found this one for about 10 a 6 pack of cans. So I picked it up, and there was another one I found I hadn't had before. It's called their Poolside Ale. It's a Belgian ale with tart cherries, and again, it was $10 a 6 pack. So I'm a tightwad, so I like to spend 8 or 9 a 6 pack, but I can't complain at 10 a 6 pack. For a long time, it has gone down. For a long time, Bell's Two Hearted was running about 13 a 6 pack in my neck of the woods, and I refused to buy it at that price when I can buy others for 9 or 10. But at $10, I can't complain about any Bell's products. I think they're doing great beer.
Wow, yeah, that's cool. I have a funny story. Well, it's not funny, but I'll tell you a story. I remember in the mid '90s, I want to say '94, '95. I was out in Kalamazoo, and they have a beer that comes out at one time. It came out, and I can't even remember when it comes out, but it was comes out once a year. It was called Eccentric Ale, and I happened to be out in that neck of the woods at the time, and I was in Kalamazoo, and I was able to get a couple of bottles of the beer. And I remember bringing back one bottle to the brew guru, John Starodomsky. But I remember at the time it was $5 a bottle. And this was in the 1990s, and that was like outrageously over expensive to pay $5 for one bottle of beer. And I ended up buying like 6 or 7 of them. And I'm saying, God, this is expensive. But this was like a 13% uh, alcohol by volume beer, one that was made once a year. It was called Eccentric Ale. And I remember bringing, a bottle back to John and said, I hope you appreciate this. I said, because this beer was $5 a bottle. So, Tom, look at us now, like $5 a bottle. We didn't even blink an eye at paying that for a bottle of a 12-ounce beer.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame now, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. But so, what do you think about the prices of beer, and what's your opinion on them going up and up
Well, I think it's inevitable. I mean, I don't like it. No, if that's what you're asking me, but I think it's inevitable. It's kind of the way. I mean, craft beer, guys like you and I have been drinking craft beer before what's called craft beer, but there is no doubt that it's trendy at the moment. So as long as there continues to be, desire for or a volume for, the prices are going to go up, especially as inflation goes up and everything. The prices of everything else goes up as gas goes up, and beer is going to go up. But I tell you, it's not necessarily just the price that irritates me. It's the, how do I say it the right way? The inconsistency, right? There are certain brands of beer that are $14 for an IPA when I can buy other brands for $10 for an IPA. Now you can argue, well, I like the taste of this one better than that one, but what I'm talking about is two IPAs of equal quality. I'm always going to buy that $10 one, regardless if you think it's better or not. And that's the part that irritates me.
Well, I think we've come to a point with craft beer in this country, and I'm saying this country, and I'm talking about America. I mean, I'm temporarily relocated in Britain, but you would be amazed how good the beer scene in Britain is getting. But that's a whole nother story. So we'll talk about that another time. But your point being that there are choices in the United States. You can pretty much go anywhere now, and I know we've talked about this before, but it should be reiterated. Anywhere in the United States, pretty much these days, you can go and you can find quality craft beer. You don't have to pay an outrageous price for a good quality beer. There are local breweries that will provide the most amazing beers, sours, barrel-aged beers, you
Mhm.
name it. They've got it. Alcohol percentages through the roof, whatever you want. Oh, it's 13, 14% alcohol. They've got it. Why are you going to pay more when you can get that at a local place? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think the problem is, I think certain breweries become craft beer darlings for whatever reason, and even when they're putting out bad beer, or maybe bad beer is the wrong thing to say, is even though they're not everything they do is a home run, people are still going to flock to those breweries and pay a lot of money for some unknown reason when they can buy other beer for a lesser price. And I've seen people on social media, and I know you have too, that will actually brag about spending more money. They'll make it sound like it's a big deal. Hey, I spent this much for this beer. Well, you're an idiot.
I agree. I think they're imbeciles, and go being here in Britain for a while, and I've really gotten back into drinking real ale and going to the pubs and really experiencing the pub culture and not drinking so much bottled beer, but beer on cask. I can tell you that this rediscovery of these beers on cask and these beer styles and on loaded up with hops and these ones that aren't huge ABVs. I can tell you, I really, really have come to appreciate the British beer culture even more so than I already have. I mean, I've been in Britain before. It's not new to me, but I got to tell you, there's something to be said for very classic, traditional beer styles, and I don't need to be slapped in the face with alcohol. I don't need to be slapped in the face with hops. The beauty of a lot of the beer styles I'm enjoying now is the fact that they're so balanced, so drinkable, so delicious, and so low in alcohol that I can go out and I can drink six or seven and I'd be fine. So, beer is great and we should appreciate, enjoy it, and love it. But yeah, it's not all about being extreme and crazy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of gotten lost over the last few years, hasn't it? I think that everything has to be more hops and more bitter, more alcohol, higher ABVs. And it's not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but there is more to beer than just that. I mean, I hear a lot of younger craft beer drinkers I'll be in a craft beer bar and I'll hear somebody say, "Oh, I don't like lagers; they don't have enough flavor for me." Well, that just doesn't even make sense, man.
Well, they don't understand lagers at all. If anybody says that lagers don't have enough flavor or whatever, they're kind of naive and they don't understand beer style because lagers are fantastic and they're some of the best beer styles in the world and they range from A to Z. So you and I know that. And if these people don't know that, then they need to educate themselves, really.
I got to tell you, this one here is very nice. I mean, the body, I'm going to say medium body. It's got this nice kind of biscuity malt thing going on. But those black pepper notes and those nice piney notes from the Simcoe are just beautiful in this beer.
So how are you doing, Tom? How's things in your neck of the woods? Tell me what's going on. What's the beer scene like there now?
Well, it's good here. I've got three craft breweries in Springfield. I've got Springfield Brewing Company, started as a brew pub, but now they're doing more. They were more of a brew pub than a brewery at one time. Now I think they're probably equal parts of both. I got Mother's, which is probably the biggest production brewery here in town, and I'm a huge fan. You've all heard me talk about them. And we've also got White River, that's much smaller, but man, they've underwent some changes lately. They've got a new brewer out there who's really done some great things with the beer. I think that's going to be a brewery to watch. I've been spending a lot of time. It's funny. I'm here in Springfield, Missouri, and the area that I'm in is called the Ozarks. But the Ozarks encompasses southwest Missouri and northwest Arkansas. And there's a lot of breweries in northwest Arkansas that are coming alive right now. There's New Province in Rogers, Arkansas. This kid, I think he's 28 years old. He's only been open for about 3 months, and I'm telling everybody that will listen to me. Mark my words. At some point, maybe 5 years down the road, maybe 10, but at some point, that's going to be the brewery everybody's talking about. New Province out of Rogers. That guy is knocking out some great beer right now. But there are others out there that are doing great beer. There's Bike Rack in Bentonville. There's Ozarks Beer Company in Bentonville, or I think that's Bentonville. I'm not sure if it's Bentonville or Rogers. But between here and there, and then I've got Piney River. It's about 2 hours from where I live. But I consider it local because, well, it's not local to anybody. I just think the beer scene is getting better. There's a new place, and I apologize for running long on that question, but there's a new place that just opened up. It's about a 10-minute walk from my house. It's called Show Me Brewing. Now, technically, they're a home brew shop, but they also have a microbrewery license, and they're only brewing 10 gallons at a time. But they've got the equipment, and they're basically they're set up to have people come in and brew their own beer, but also brew their own beer themselves. But it's only 10 gallons at a time. So but they're doing some amazing beers out there. They've got an IPA out there called Highway 63 IPA that is just brilliant. The head brewer out there, Andy, just finished a vanilla cream ale that he let me sample, and that's absolutely brilliant. So I have a great beer scene.
Wow, that's great.
For running long, but
no, it's fantastic that you went along. That's just showing you how good things in the United States have gotten for beer, and I think that's great. And you know what? Europe is following the trend, I think, and here in Britain and in London particularly, the beer scene has just exploded. Now, I've just scratched the surface. I'm kind of concentrating on going to all the traditional old school, London pubs, but there is a number of brew pub breweries out here in London that I haven't even dipped into, which I will. Don't get me wrong. I'll get to as many of them, if not all of them, as I can. But the beer scene here in London is kind of mimicking what's going on in the United States, and I think they've taken a lot of their cues from the United States and some cues from Scotland because BrewDog has become very, very popular, and I think you noticed a couple of weeks ago I went to Wales and I was in Cardiff and I went to a brew dog, so you might have seen that. But the craft beer movement here in Britain is unbelievable. It's there's breweries everywhere. These little small breweries all over the city of London and in the London suburbs are exploding. On top of all the traditional old school breweries, and I'm telling you, the beer scene here is just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, I have a few social media friends from that direction, and they keep posting stuff all the time. But I was interested in the stuff you were showing that I hadn't seen before. That was very interesting.
You know, I've been pretty lucky. I've been drinking nothing but cask ale, and if you notice, a lot of the posts that I put up in our Facebook group, it's pretty much a different cask ale every time I go to a pub. I can always find something different. Sometimes there's a lot of repeats. There's not a lot of, not so many choices as we get in the United States. I'm not trying to drink beer under pressure. I'm trying to drink cask ale, which is, you know, the traditional way to drink British beer. But sometimes I have to go to the under pressure beers. Like for instance, today, I was at a place. I wanted to try London Porter. It wasn't on cast, so I had to get it under pressure.
Very nice. I've got a beer festival that I'm going to tomorrow right here in Springfield. It's called the Springfield Craft Beer Bash. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Great. And I've got the Great British Beer Festival coming up at the beginning of August, and I'm very happy and very pleased to see that I'm going to be here for it. I'm actually working, but the good thing is they have evening sessions, so I can get off, I think, during one of my work days and actually go attend. So this will be my first visit to the Great British Beer Festival, and I am very happy about that.
Oh, nice. That'll be incredible.
Yes, much cask conditioned ale. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of American beers there and there, and so it'll be great. Uh, I know there's a lot of the British social media types will be there, but if I can meet those guys, great. If I don't, I don't. But the whole point of beer for me is to drink the beer, Tom.
Yeah, me too. It's funny is sometimes I go to beer festivals with a group of friends, and that's fine. I spend a lot of time talking to my friends and drinking beer, and that's okay. But I don't mind going to places by myself because, well, I mean, I'm a friendly guy anyway. I end up talking to people I don't know. Sometimes it's good, especially if I want to take a lot of pictures. If I want to do video, it's better to go by myself because then I don't feel like I'm being rude to the friends I'm with. So yeah, I don't mind going to bars, pubs alone because I always feel like I meet a friend at some point anyway, and I don't mind going to festivals by myself.
No, I don't either. But not that I'm going to go by myself. I'm sure I'm going to hook up with some other people that I know from work that's going to go as well. But yeah, it's nice to have these interactions in social media, and you see people like that you don't really know, and you think you know, and then it's nice to actually meet some of these people. But you really don't know who you're meeting. And some of these people, I don't know, Tom. So we've discussed this in the past, and you might want to give your insight on this. I mean, should some people be leery sometimes about some of the people that they think they know on social media?
Well, of course you should. I mean, I'm a very trusting individual. I'm a very half glass full. I'm a very eternal optimist kind of individual. But yeah, you should be a little bit leery. You need to know somebody a little bit. I mean, I recently met, well, the recent person I met from social media. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name, so I won't. But it was great to meet him. We met at Springfield Brewing Company here in town, and that was a great experience. But yeah, the bottom line is you never know. You know, you never know who somebody is until you actually meet them in person. So, yeah, but I actually I've been pretty lucky for the most part for the people I've met. from social media in person. So, but even the folks I haven't met in person, like yourself or the Brew Guru, I mean, I've been able to try beers that I wouldn't have been able to had I not met you on social media, had I not met the Brew Guru on social media, had I met many other people from social media, I wouldn't have had the ability to try some of these beers. So, yeah, I would love to meet everybody in person, but even if you can't get to everybody, it's nice that we have this ability to talk to people and try beers, and even beers I haven't tried. I've been able to learn about so many from you, from Brew Guru, and several other folks. So that there are some positives to social media.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Tom. Yeah, and I think anybody who's ever met John Starodomsky, the Brew Guru, in person or on the social media type things, will all agree that he is probably one of the most knowledgeable and most genuine good beer guys you'll ever want to meet anywhere.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that. And I've said this before. I've said it in our group. I've said it on several videos that for me, he does the best written reviews out there. They're the most comprehensive written reviews. When people ask me if they're just starting to get into craft beer, when they ask me who do I need to look at, I look up the Brew Guru. He's got the best reviews out there. There is no doubt that's the guy you need to be reading.
Right. So anyway, to bring this full circle, I think the last time our friend Eric, who you've met, he met you at Piney River.
Oh, Eric, yeah, I forgot to mention him. Yeah.
He brought John a bottle of Nigerian Guinness from London. So I'm enjoying a Nigerian Guinness from London. So I think we can all say that Nigerian Guinness is definitely a great beer. If you can get your hands on it, please try it. But anyway, so I think that's about it for me, Tom. So
Okay. Any final words you want to add, Red?
anything else? Not really. Just again, I'm over here in London for a little bit and then enjoying my stay here and trying to keep the people informed about all the good London beers I'm drinking. And all I can say is enjoy craft beer. And it was good talking to you, Tom. So I hope you have a good night and take care of yourself.
Well, I want to thank Red for joining me from across the pond, as they say. Hey, I'm Tom the Beer Whisperer, enjoying American beer while he has some Nigerian Guinness. And we'll talk to y'all later. Cheers. Excuse me while I burp there.